For centuries, whispers of the Zenetti documents echoed through the corridors of power and the dusty shelves of forbidden libraries. These weren't just old scrolls. They were said to contain the very source code of reality, a blueprint of existence penned by a civilization so ancient their name is lost to time. Legends claim these texts could rewrite the laws of physics, command the elements, and even stop time itself. But with such power came a terrible price. Every attempt to use the documents had ended in catastrophe, unleashing plagues, toppling empires, and driving their readers to madness. They were the ultimate double-edged sword, a promise of godhood wrapped in a curse of self-destruction. The search for the Zenetti documents became the ultimate obsession for secret societies, rogue scholars, and power-hungry rulers. One of the most zealous was the Order of the Silent Sun, a clandestine group who believed the documents were a divine inheritance meant only for them. They spent generations piecing together clues, deciphering star charts, and tracing ancient bloodlines, all leading to a hidden monastery carved into the highest peaks of the Himalayas. After a brutal and costly expedition, they breached the monastery's defenses, only to find the central chamber empty. The documents were gone, spirited away centuries earlier by a guardian sect known as the Keepers of the Word. The Keepers were a nomadic people, dedicating their lives to protecting the world from the Zenetti's power. They moved constantly, hiding the texts in plain sight, dispersed among countless ordinary books in forgotten archives and remote libraries across the globe. Their philosophy was simple. The only way to safeguard the world was to ensure the documents were never assembled in one place. For centuries, this delicate balance held. The Order of the Silent Sun pursued them relentlessly, a shadow war fought in the margins of history with clues and artifacts as their weapons. The Keepers always stayed one step ahead, their network of spies and scholars a testament to their dedication. The game changed with the arrival of Alastair Finch, a brilliant but disgraced historian obsessed with the Zenetti legend. Unlike the Order, Finch wasn't interested in power. He sought knowledge, believing the documents held the key to understanding the universe's greatest mysteries. Using cutting-edge technology and a network of digital informants, he began to connect the dots faster than anyone before him. He found patterns the Keepers had missed, digital breadcrumbs left in library databases and satellite images of ancient ruins. He realized the Keepers hadn't just scattered the documents. They had encoded their locations within a complex celestial algorithm. The race intensified. The Order, learning of Finch's progress, began hunting him. The Keepers, realizing their ancient methods were failing, were forced to adapt, moving from the shadows into the digital age to stop both Finch and the Order. It was a three-way chase across continents, a desperate scramble to either acquire, protect, or understand the most dangerous texts in existence. Finch, always on the run, managed to decipher the final piece of the algorithm. The documents weren't just scattered. They were converging. A rare cosmic alignment was drawing them together through a forgotten network of ley lines, all leading to a single point, a remote, abandoned observatory in the Atacama Desert. All three factions descended on the desolate location as the alignment reached its peak. The observatory became a battlefield. The Order of the Silent Sun, armed and ruthless, clashed with the Keepers, who fought with desperate courage. In the chaos, Finch slipped inside the main dome. There, resting on an ancient stone pedestal, was a single ornate chest. As he reached for it, the celestial energy peaked. The observatory's roof opened, and a beam of light struck the chest, causing it to glow with an otherworldly energy. The Zenetti documents were finally whole. But another figure had been watching from the shadows, a young keeper known only as the Child of Echoes. Born with a unique sensitivity to the document's energy, they could feel the hum of reality itself. They had been the Keeper's secret weapon, their living compass in the hunt for the scattered texts. As Finch hesitated, mesmerized by the power before him, the Child of Echoes stepped forward. They saw the infinite possibilities within the document's cures for all diseases, an end to suffering, a new age of enlightenment. But they also saw the echoes of the past, the madness, the destruction, the cosmic imbalance that followed every use. The power was too absolute, too seductive for any mortal to wield without corruption. In that moment, the Child of Echoes understood their true purpose. They weren't meant to be a compass or a guardian in the traditional sense. They were the final failsafe. They placed their hands on the glowing chest, not to claim its power, but to become a conduit for it. They looked at Finch, a flicker of sorrow in their eyes, and then there was only light. A silent, blinding flash erupted from the observatory, a wave of pure energy that vaporized the Zenedi documents and the Child of Echoes along with them. The power was not unleashed upon the world. It was unmade. The source code was deleted. When the light faded, all that remained was a fine shimmering dust on the stone pedestal and the stunned silence of the survivors. The documents and their final guardian were gone forever. Alistair Finch stood on the crumbling precipice, the weight of centuries pressing down on him. He had watched the child, his friend, become a living sacrifice. He reached into his coat, his hand closing around the small, smooth river stone the child had given him, the only proof he had that they had ever existed. He had failed to find another way, failed to save the one person who had saved everyone. A single tear traced a path through the grime on his cheek, a silent testament to a grief that would span eternity. He turned away, his purpose clear. He was no longer just a historian. He was a witness. He would bear the memory of the Child of Echoes, ensuring their sacrifice was not in vain, even if the world could never know their name. He gathered the fragmented records, the scattered journals of the keepers, and the decoded prophecies of the Silent Sun. He would compile the true history, the one that now existed only in his memory. It would not be a history for the public archives, but a sacred text, a warning, and a memorial. The Order of the Silent Sun, their purpose to unleash chaos now rendered moot, simply dissolved. Without the temporal storms to harness, their prophecies became meaningless whispers. Some sought new, darker paths, but most, stripped of their fanatical conviction, simply faded back into the world, their zeal extinguished, leaving them as empty husks of their former selves. Their grand cathedrals of paradox fell into ruin, monuments to a war that no one would ever remember was fought. The keepers of the word, however, found a new calling. Their duty had been to preserve the integrity of time, a task now complete. Under Alistair's guidance, they transformed. They became guardians not of time, but of memory. They were the secret librarians of a forgotten truth, the sentinels watching over the one true timeline. They dedicated themselves to identifying and neutralizing any new temporal anomalies, however small, ensuring that the great wound could never again be reopened. They honored the child not with statues or songs, but with quiet, eternal vigilance. Years turned into decades. Alistair Finch grew old, his hair turning the color of ash. He never spoke of the child to anyone outside the keepers, but his actions spoke volumes. He founded institutes of history and archaeology, subtly guiding humanity to cherish its past, to learn from its one true story. He championed the preservation of artifacts and knowledge, instilling a deep cultural respect for the linear path of time. The world, without knowing why, became more stable, more rooted in its own history. The legacy of the Child of Echoes wasn't a name whispered on the wind or a face carved in stone. Their legacy was the sunrise that came every morning, predictable and sure. It was a child's uninterrupted laughter, a promise kept between lovers, a history that flowed forward without deviation. It was the quiet, unspoken certainty that tomorrow would come. The world moved on, blissfully unaware of the cataclysm it had narrowly avoided. All thanks to a ghost in time, a silent savior whose name was written only on the heart of a lonely historian. And as Alistair Finch finally laid down his pen, his life's work complete, he looked out at the peaceful, setting sun and whispered, "Thank you, my friend. Your echo is safe with us."